Lori, are we ready? I want to start with
Are you good to go?
Mr. Reed's good to go.
It's recording. Well, actually, I need to get captions, but you can start it.
Okay.
It's perfunctory.
All right. Check, mic check.
Thank you. Everybody speak up.
Speak to the mic.
Yes, that's hard. Loud.
Okay, well, welcome to the December session, 3rd of December for the Economic Development Commission. Before we get started, we'll go ahead and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Do a quick roll call.
Yes, we will. Chair Lawson,
Here.
Lisa Fry. Here. Jacqueline Hunt. Present. Mike Acciardi.
Here.
David Amanor.
Present.
And excused tonight is Vice Chair Chris Barron. This would be his last meeting. And Amy Gibson Grope said she would try to hop on Zoom if she's able to. She had another meeting at the same time. And your ex officio this evening, I'd like to introduce Mayor Aaron Dumbrow. Well,
Present.
thank you.
Thank you for being here this evening. And thank you, commission members, for being here as well. Lots of busy schedules with the holidays coming up. Hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. Any public comment this evening submitted ahead of time?
Haven't heard a peep from anybody.
No one is in attendance physically in the room this evening. Anybody on Zoom, Bill, that you can tell?
No.
Nothing. Wow. It's a quiet night. Okay, before we get into last month's, well, let's do last month's meeting minutes. I got my hand slapped last month. So last month in November, we talked through a number of different topics. We chatted about the bank's retail market study, which we'll talk more about this evening. The business survey, we chatted about that as well, which I'll just provide like a brief update on that this evening as well. A couple items we delayed, as well as creating a one-pager for helping businesses within the city. And so we'll talk a little bit about that too. Lisa and Jacqueline have been working on some of those items here as well. So last item, we reiterated that Vice Chair Barron, it was his last meeting. His last meeting is this evening, but he was in attendance in November. And then Commissioner Hunt, the term is up, so we'll be reviewing her application this evening as well to re-up her term on the EDC. Any questions on those items? It was a pretty quick meeting last month.
And just to let you know, Amy did pop on.
Oh, great.
So.
Hi, Amy.
4%. Motion to approve.
Second.
Right.
Speak up, please. Motion to approve.
A second.
Thank you. All those in favor of approving November's meeting minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And all those opposed, say nay. Okay, we have unanimous approval of November's meeting minutes, so we can jump right into our December session. Before we get started with the agenda items, was that last week? Was Thanksgiving? Technically, I think it was last week, yeah.
It was.
Last week was Thanksgiving. I would like for the team, as we do our check-in here, to just give one thing that they're thankful for this holiday season. It can be as cheesy and sappy as you would like, especially you, Mr. Reed. I see a smirk over there. What that's about. And just let us know you're checked in if there's anything we need to help with, we can do so.
It's a new tradition. Term.
I'd like to think so. Every December session from here on out until the day I die, we'll be doing this. Miss Lori, would you like to kick us off with, are you checked in? And anything you were thankful for, especially around Thanksgiving?
I'm checked in. I've had, as city manager Reed is well aware, a couple of not my best mood days for whatever reason. I have no idea what the reason is, doesn't matter. But I am very thankful that we have a mayor in place. I am beyond thankful. And I am thankful at this point in the year that I still have my job.
Excellent. On the brownie points early, huh?
You know I'm not your boss, right?
I do know that.
Just being clear.
That's funny. I tell Bill the same thing. No, I really am thankful that we have a mayor in place finally, so. I'm good. Thank you.
Mr. Reed?
Oh,
Hello, Amy, we see you now.
You're muted.
You're muted.
Although the hand gestures, I would assume.
I have a droopy face because I was at the dentist, so I will be off camera because I can't blink in one eye either. So I am here, but won't be visible.
okay, so I'm thankful that Amy didn't just tell us she had a stroke.
Thank you.
It's the tennis trip. Yes, we're starting to fire on all cylinders with city council with Mayor Del Bro now. That's a wonderful thing. Stuff going on. There's been some kind of movement in a variety of different ways on the Glencoe property that are positive. I'll talk about those later. Nothing earth shattering, but just some positive things, positive movement forward things. So we'll get to that later. So that's good, and it's the holiday season, and yeah, all good. So thanks.
Thanks, Bill. Jacqueline?
What we're thankful for, check in.
You checked in?
Absolutely enjoying the holiday season. Since I think we met last, I did travel to Agritopia and spent a day with the family and the foundation and the farmers and learned a lot. So at some point, I still want to share that. Housing prices are 20% higher in that neighborhood than comparative because of the incredible positive flywheel of people wanting to be there and do things. They were having a whiskey tasting and something out in the apple orchard in the evening, so activities going on the farm. So that was really fun, and it really got me thinking. So
Cool. And Lisa?
See, and I checked in, well, at this holiday season, there's a lot going on at my work, my actual job, and also some city volunteer activities. So definitely, it being occupied at this season. And I have two things on which I'm grateful for, including, well, the first is dishwashers, which is a Thanksgiving blessing.
Yes.
But also I want to say, I went to the third session, UGB session last night, and I am amazed at the time that Rowan and Bill have put in, and I assume the mayor has gone to all three of them as well. So a lot of commitment from some people to make those happen. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I've checked in as well. I'm very thankful for Oregon paid leave. I've been able to spend 12 weeks at home with our 5-month-old. So I took 9 weeks when he was born, and then I'm gonna be home the month of December with him. So I'm gonna be spending a lot of time with our little guy. You'll probably see me out walking around the neighborhood with him. Just walked to lunch to La Loteria today. Yeah, bundle him up. And yes, just very thankful for all of you as well. We're all very busy, hardworking people, so I just appreciate your attendance and willingness to help the community here.
There's a lot to be thankful for life, for my family. And for those of you who know about, I've been reading the news, there's a lot happening at Intel. Yeah, thank God I still have my job. So a lot to be thankful for, and also thankful to have you around. Greeting.
Thanks. Mr. Mike?
Is this on?
Yes, thank you.
As I've told some of you, my wife and I are going through some pretty tough times right now. And I've been very thankful that family and friends have been very supportive of us through all that. I got to have my parents over at our place for Thanksgiving, which was really nice. So yeah, looking forward to spending more time with family and all that. So that's what I'm thankful.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. Mayor Deborah.
All right, so, I am checked in and things I'm thankful for. So, in the midst of all the crazy with the mayor stuff, I got laid off a couple months ago intentionally. And I thought Lori thought I was gonna retire, it was gonna be great. And then, as of Friday, off my final review and probably job offer, so it's been a great week. I probably won't sleep for a while, but I'm also thankful. I feel like things are settling down a little bit in the city, and we're having some good conversations. I'm thankful to staff. They put a ton of work on this neighborhood model or neighborhood meeting. And I mean, I won't speak for staff, I'll speak for me. I think the information we've got has been invaluable. We have learned so much about the direction I think we want to go. And it just feels like we're finally at a point where we're not moving, but we're at least, we have enough data to start moving maybe. So it was a little contentious, but it was nothing like what it was in the past. So I'm very thankful that people are finally talking. And mostly respectful.
Thank you. All right, unfinished business for this evening. So we wanted to touch on the Jingle Parade holiday event plan discussion. Jacqueline and Lisa have been working and sent over an artifact too before the meeting here that we can pull up and share. Surrounding, how we as an EDC can help support local businesses on a whether it's quarterly or biannually, just trying to get an idea of different initiatives we could put in place to help drive business and get people excited for some of our local businesses within the city, both downtown as well as on the Glencoe corridor there. So Lori had sent out the attachment that Jacqueline sent earlier today. For those who haven't had the chance to review it, we can either pull it up, or what I'm also thinking is we can have the EDC members review it in more detail after the meeting, and then Jacqueline and Lisa, if you guys want to run through just a high level overview of what you were thinking and any feedback you wanted from this group.
I do have one copy. If anybody hasn't seen it at all, I can pull it out of my packet.
Okay.
You guys can get it.
I have it pulled up. Do you want me to run through it?
Oh, do you want me to? You can feel free. Yeah, I'll let Jackie kick off and maybe some of our discoveries about where we're at this point.
Yeah.
So the document takes an idea. The challenge that we took is how to drive local business around seasonal events, and we got the inspiration from, it was in the minutes, the consultant. Where we saw that on their website when we were looking into it with Cindy. And so we took that idea and did some research. And so we laid out what seasonal passport or promotional shop local ideas were by season and things that we might consider. And then at the back of the packet, what you see is screenshots from examples from other cities. actually starting with one that I didn't realize was going on until like the last minute was just down the road. Having local business owners do their own little mini shop here and attend a raffle. So as we did that research, one of the things we observed is often that promotion is coming from the Chamber of Commerce, and really, we think that should be done in partnership with the Chamber of Commerce. You know, considering how the passport would work, and what we would give away, and we think some engagement to make sure that we fairly included appropriate businesses for a season and allowed good communication, that would be a really strong partnership, that we could have a role in that.
You did discuss it with Cindy, is that what you mentioned, or?
Yeah, Jack, you had a chance to.
I did it only, I would say no, I did not have a good session with Cindy. I think there's been a lot of events going on, either with Cindy being actively engaged in other chamber commerce or actively engaged in her home life. And so I would say I have not actually had a good conversation with Cindy.
So good opportunity to just bring her probably to either our next session or whenever we would like, and as a group, we can sit down and talk through it with her. Is that kind of what you're thinking, like get engagement with the chamber initially to try to see how we would fit into?
Well, let me throw this, you tell me, Jack, if you think, well, okay, all right, so just in a little bit of context, back in October, when we discussed this initially, we were hopeful we could do something and kick it off for December at the Jingle parade. And then when Jackie and I talked a few weeks ago, we realized, oh, we don't have all the things we need in place to make it happen in time, including we need to figure out what an incentive is to get people to shop local, and we don't know what our resources are. So we need to figure that out before we can launch something. And we also need to go talk to the businesses before we do it. So
To get buy-in.
and if they even want to be included in it. So we realized, hey, we don't have enough time to get this together right, but let's maybe target some, like, our 2 times maybe this next year to do something along these lines. And then I was gonna follow up, I think, in my opinion, I think it would be great if we had a fairly concrete proposal to take to the chamber, rather than just doing open green space, green field. What do you think? Yeah. That's everything.
Exactly. Everyone shaking their heads. I agree with the last sentiment of just taking like a concrete plan. And we can obviously collaborate if they have certain changes. But especially here's what we want to do with engaging with the businesses ahead of time. Cause I'm sure that'll change the look of it too, once we get feedback from the actual businesses. I thought it was a good idea, just looking at the spring example, how you have like a passport menu special, like Tendenny's Pizza or King Torta, where you have a certain menu item that is specific to that season. But the other side of that coin is let's say we do some of that and we address that with the businesses and they are like, yeah, there's no way we'd be able to create a whole menu item for just this, some of the logistics of that. So that's kind of where my head was going.
Yeah.
Question, what if they just picked a menu item if they didn't want to do special, would that work?
Yeah.
Oh.
That was a specific example of like trying to get ahead of any of those like logistic challenges with the businesses themselves, if they have certain things where it's more of a burden on them rather than trying to drive business. But
So I definitely think we're blue sky thinking at this point, but how do you create a theme? And it could be a special pizza. You don't have to order that one, but it's getting this whole theme of it. Isn't just go, hey, go spend some money in our town. It's that we've put some time together to make it fun. And so looping in, if it were this November, December season, we have several all over our communities or bazaars where people are already coming. So can we, again, just take something that's already drawing people, reinforce and extend that shopping desire to
Yeah.
other local businesses that thematically align.
So like summer, we could leverage the Garlic Festival, have some type of passport related.
So here's another thing that I think we would like your input on, is there are two different ways we could do this, or maybe a combination. One is where it's a day or a weekend where we try to attract. But the other is kind of, you'll scroll down, there's kind of a punch card kind of thing, where it's maybe a month long. Attraction to go solicit, to go eat at the businesses or buy something from the businesses. So it'd be great to get thoughts on the one time or one weekend versus let's say a month long.
Thoughts from.
I felt, he said you were planning to take on an initial proposal for us to discuss it, or you are throwing, some initial ideas.
Yeah, I think like the specific question, forgive me if I'm misinterpreting, but is, how do we want to shape it? Is it a month-long punch card experience? Is it just a singular day where you go to as many of these businesses as you can? I from the outset, I've liked the idea of kind of like a punch card, passport stamp, for like a month, let's say. And that way we can focus on, even if it's just, 3 months out of the year, like a spring, fall, or a spring, summer, and then, fall, winter, holiday type thing. And I just don't know how much work and coordination it's gonna take, so.
I think that'd be where it's great to ask the chamber to maybe help us reach out to some of the businesses when we have a plan.
But David, your question, Jacqueline and Lori had sent out, kind of a breakdown of an outline of how they envision
Oh,
the.
you have the document.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the document.
Oh, you
Lori's got our.
I go there where. Yeah, I think this is.
Oh, right, the website, yeah.
One without a
Oh.
subject line.
Yeah.
By accident.
Very secret. They were asking me for social security.
I don't need to take yours.
Oh, it's okay. Yeah, you can keep it, because I'll just print another one tomorrow. and get the other. Not a problem.
Mike or Amy, anything, thoughts you can think of, like just with the overall passport
I
style?
like the month-long idea. I think if you have it on a single day, that's gonna be tough for some people to try to be a part of, whereas a full month, that's gonna give people opportunities that, we're not trying to force them into, hey, you gotta be there on this Saturday.
Yeah,
Well, maybe it's two different groups that we're trying to attract. Maybe the month long is locals, and maybe the one day is out of town, and it's become for an event and visit businesses while they're.
Yeah.
So maybe do a combo.
Mayor, I love that I can almost see like the
Sorry.
little
I love
idea
this-
clouds going there.
this
like
theme.
that.
Well, so in fairness, I was actually at the ribbon cutting for the gym, and I had heard a rumor of this, so I started pitching Amanda just to see if she liked, see if she would get on board, and she liked it, and her thought was, like, what if everybody had their own stamp? It was either her or Lady Peak, I forget, somebody said that, what if everybody had their own stamp and like make it a fun, like minimum looking passport? I was like, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like. My only suggestion is start with the one that's the lowest lift, which I think the month long is probably the lowest lift, my guess, but I think both. I think this is a great idea. Cause if we could advertise this, I can go get the other mayors to talk, and give it a shout out. I think it'd be kind of fun and see, like, also maybe get the businesses engaged to try to, like, what city are people from? And like, maybe they get, I don't know how we would do anything for them, but something, a prize for, furthest away, or I'm just trying to think of how do we really suck people in?
Yeah.
Because this is awesome.
I think one of the tricks of the McMenamins, and I've seen this where you'll be in McMenamins and you can tell the passport people, they'll come in, they'll get the passport, and they leave, you know? And I know some, like at the White Eagle, they have one where you have to go in and find like a little symbol on the wall, but it's still not. I mean, how do you say you need to buy something, you have to spend a certain amount of money, that's getting into the weeds, but I think, yeah.
Right.
I mean, I don't know how McWilliams feels about it or how successful it is. But, you know, there's gonna be those people that are just, oh, my stamp, and then, yeah, but that's detailed out.
Yeah.
So how about as a proposal for a next step might be that we meet with Cindy, engage her in coming up with a proposal that we would both bring back here and to the chamber. Starting with the month of April, which would be kind of Easter focused. Some sort of April, May proposal would be our first test of the year, and we get learning before we get into either a fall or holiday. You know, second opportunity.
Yeah.
Thoughts about that as a direction?
John, thanks, notes. I like that.
So go from this general to a
Yeah.
very specific, this is the month, this is how we would do it, here's how we're gonna engage the businesses.
Here's our budget, cause we also have to think about just, you know. How many passports are we gonna print? What quality of passports, like we talked about, are they actually gonna look like passports, or are we just gonna print 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper for them to use?
We actually think you're gonna download something more, I think first go around it probably isn't something you need to have in your hand, you can just have it because it's online.
So a digital version of it, okay, cause if it's physical, then like. Does every business that participates have a bucket of these passports, and
That's
if
tricky.
we run
but-
out of passport, you know?
Versus my
Yeah.
thing reminds me, I print it off, it reminds me until I go, I carry it around, stamps are there, so that's what we were thinking, but
Yeah.
we would wanna meet with Cindy and meet with the businesses and get to a specific proposal, but I think round one. Easy testing.
Right.
We can always get into something very sophisticated in an actual passport book, but like you said, the budget goes up, logistics become harder, so.
All right, coming back to question number one, what's the incentive?
Yeah. What do people care about?
Other than money and friends?
And going back to question one, is it possible we can also start with like an initial pilot for a shorter duration, like 2 weeks, see how it runs before, we move to, like the 1 month.
Yeah,
With a smaller budget to see how it runs very well. Or it's just an idea, yeah.
What I think I might ask as far as budget and prices is what might we be able to get from donations from our local businesses to put into baskets that group together and become
Yeah,
prizes?
Raffle.
Raffle type things. So you are entering to win. And
right, do you recall from your research what other chambers have done prize wise and just
typically it was baskets of things.
have
yeah.
donated goods, okay. I mean, that makes sense.
Or, I mean, one of them says gift cards, right? Right.
Yeah.
Or things, and I said,
Yeah, then you're going back to the business again, but who's paying for the gift cards? Do we need to get them as donations from the businesses, or are we offering some kind of funding?
Right,
Oh, yes.
There's an app that's QR code driven that you can download and use and have businesses use.
So if I could add, yes, and favorite thing now, when we do the website redesign, maybe that's something the city could consider adding in with input from the EDC. If this works, maybe we beta test with this. And then maybe that's something that goes into the North Plains app as we update it. Just a suggestion, but why not?
yeah.
So this is what we wanted and we're gonna develop it, it's there. It's there.
Sort.
Okay.
So, in looking this up, this is about 70% of it. It's the easiest 70%. This is just QR, different businesses sign up, they get their own distinct QR code. people that have the app can participating in the online passport program, this digital one. Go and scan the QR code and they get credit for visiting, shopping, whatever. And it signs them up for being able to get a $10 voucher as a reward for participating. What it doesn't have, if it's city water utility related, is a tie-in to an accumulation calculation of their spending that could then potentially be a benefit to their water bill. That connection is what this does not have.
Okay. So what is the potential of the water bill as an incentive?
I mean. The potential is, we really need to find something, it's certainly an easy thing, I mean, from a city fiscal standpoint, it is not hard. To figure out, doing an incentive program with some kind of credits or enter a drawing to get a credit on your bill, or however, whatever odds you want to give of them getting a credit. The issue is making it workable from a staff standpoint, from a time standpoint. The amount of time it took, I was the one that went every month, went and gathered all those cards that, that Gabe and Cameron, God bless them, they did a great job of keeping their cards organized and filled out. Other businesses, not so much, and it was a mess. It just took a lot of time, and there was all the data entry, but it's just a lot of time. So, and that's just really costly from a staff standpoint and time standpoint. So I think what needs to be explored is how they cut to the chase on some of that cost and time with using an app that gets us 60% or 70% of the way there. Maybe we talk with somebody about developing something. I would like to talk about that again. Because part of, I think, the concern about the app idea in North Plains being the pilot is that how do you scale up from a city of 4,000, 1,100 water accounts? But as it happens, I happen to know the community development director of the city of Beaverton. And they're in the market of doing something like this. Now that's a city of 110,000 with several thousand water accounts. And I told that person, who will remain nameless, that that North Plains would love to ride on the coattails of a bigger city being the pilot for something like that.
Do you think he's too good for us or what?
Too good?
What's his deal?
I don't trust him.
The thing to remember for this use case that we studied is a slightly different, I would think in a holiday sort of passport, we are trying to pull as many out from out of the city
Yeah.
as from within.
Yes.
Yeah.
And therefore incentive for water payment, not is, I don't have a water bill, I'm on a well and I'm, 2 miles from here. But for some uses, an accumulation of shopping throughout the year,
Yeah.
totally this makes sense.
Yeah.
Or if you can take this and just based on your stamps for the month, still enroll you, and anyone could do it, then it could have both purposes, but I think the 70% might actually still work for our use case.
I think the
Right.
holiday thing, that's
The holiday
great
thing does
because,
work.
yes, because then from the water utility link thing is always water utility, potential water credit or whatever.
Mhm.
This would have to change from season to season. The prize is this, or the reward is that. Some businesses might not have anything related to that holiday or season or whatever. And so, and this scales up with whoever wants to download the app and participate. Being from outside of the city, whereas we have a fixed population of water accounts. Or something kind of a contained population.
And so you can, based on scanning the QR code, you can track like just quantity of how many places they visited and where they visited.
Yeah.
Just
I don't-
not dollars spent. That's the portion you had mentioned.
I don't, honestly, we would need to look into it. I just, as you were speaking, I found this.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I was kind of scanning through and looking, there are options, but this one seems to be more like what might work.
What about, I know Amy has a sports thing at Capio, would that work or something similar, or is that too complicated?
Oh,
I
right.
have no idea, I'm just asking.
Amy, if you're still there, do you how intricate is your reward system? I think it's through like the point of service.
Yeah, systematic entities.
All right, never mind.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
I am here. I can't figure out my video camera now. But our reward system is through Square. It is through a point of sale and it's super easy. But I don't know how to translate into something else if you don't have Square. So
Yeah, really good. Wouldn't be like
Okay,
cross-compatible.
well, worth a shot.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So I think I, from the sounds of it, for our case, and I think it honestly would probably be just biting off more than we could chew if we tried to incorporate water billing credits and things like that for this first initial. Yeah, and so in that case, to Jackie's point, I think we can look into the stampme.com.
Well, yes, yes. And yes, the water utility thing, water utility bill thing, still worth exploring and would be different. I guess what I would say is either this, or we contact the Visit Tualatin Valley, the old Tualatin Valley Visitors Bureau. I think they have migrated their Tualatin Valley Beer Trail state passport program to an app of some kind. And that would be very similar. Because that's to try to get as many people from outside the county to come in. And now they might not change it seasonally, but I think that model with you all changing season to season might be closer to what you're thinking.
Okay.
And then if a new business comes online, just like a new brewery for the beer trail, I mean, that seems to me probably the most similar, if not
Right.
this.
Okay.
I have a quick question on the water utility.
Can you speak up a little bit?
Or pull the microphone closer.
I really have a hard time hearing you on the recording.
I wanted to find out, are we trying to offer consumers some discount for using the water for their consumption?
That idea is on the table. Back during COVID, we had kind of a program that we pulled together rather quickly, but it took a lot of time. It took time to do it, but it worked very well. In that, in order to get people to spend at local businesses in residents to spend at businesses in North Plains, we created a similar sort of reward system where when you went and shopped or bought or dined, you would give that business your water account number. And then you would get a discount on a credit on your water bill based on a percentage of how much you spent at the participating businesses in town. So you spend locally more, but a percentage of that you got as a credit on your water bill as a reward for doing that. And that type of program, it works very well. It just needs to be done in COVID, there's not a lot going on because, all the meetings and things that you would be doing aren't happening. So you're trying to, dole out federal dollars and do other things. So there was time to do it, but that wouldn't work now. So it's on the table to do it. But I think it's a slightly different thing than really similar, but slightly different thing than this.
And do we have examples in other cities? This is the first time I'm hearing about it, so
Yeah, that was back in 2020, 2021. We did it for about a year. But yeah, it was kind of an emergency program and it was just meant to try to save as many local businesses as possible in the middle of the shutdown, the worst part of the shutdown. And we only lost one business that just decided to retire. They were gonna retire at a certain point and they decided to retire early. But we didn't outright lose any businesses, at least during the worst of the COVID shutdown. So it helped. It really did. And the bigger thing though I think the difference here is, are we trying to get residents educated and shopping locally, or are we trying to bring more commerce into the city? And the big thing about the water credit program was it made a lot of residents, many new people aware of what businesses are in town and kind of directed them with a reward to shop, to shop locally. But we haven't done it since the COVID shutdown.
Okay, if I were to put on my PM hat for a second, so in terms of like our schedule, cost, scope, sounds like we have the scope somewhat outlined of, we'll stick with a 1 month initiative to start, with that being in the spring. And then we'll, you had mentioned, Jackie, meeting with the chamber and then coming back to the EDC with kind of your findings. Does that sound? And when do you want to try to target that with the holidays and everything? I really don't see, you know, a January meeting debrief. February, or because then at that point we get into March and that's when we would be looking at actually launching some of it. So maybe in February. Okay. And then I know you had a ballpark budget on there too. Was that kind of a throwing spaghetti at the wall?
Yeah.
Okay. Because that's, I think that'll be, we can talk with our city manager here on what we could and couldn't allocate to this project from our budget. And then from there, we probably would have to make some choices on, you know, if Stamp Me is too much of a premium, then we go with our option B on a printout sort of thing.
And all that, as part of that, we would like to talk about how we promote it and advertise it at that time, so come with lots of options.
Yeah. Okay, any other feedback? Lisa and Jackie, that you were looking for from the group?
Yep.
Any other questions before we move on? Thanks so much for putting this together. We've been talking about it, I feel like, for months, and it just is very helpful to sit down, get it on paper, try to get a framework to it, just like the first hurdle that I personally struggled with. So, thank you. Alrighty, jumping back to our agenda. It looks like we have John Lagarza on the line. He was able to join our agenda item B under unfinished business. So we were going to follow up with John on the scope of work he had put together for the city. Just some quick context, we have discussed a Banks retail study that was completed a few months ago in Banks, and that was completed by John's company, Healthy Sustainable Communities. And so we had some back and forth last meeting on taking a look at the new scope of work for North Plains that Bill had been working with John on, and Bill suggested we might as well just get John on here during the meeting. So John, thank you for joining us. We appreciate your time this evening.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chair, and the Economic Development Commission. Pleasure to be here and happy to answer any questions and talk a little bit about some next steps with you.
Excellent. So Bill, if you don't mind just giving a quick recap of what you've been working with John on in terms of the scope of work and some of the specifics there.
Sounds good. Thank you, Chair. Yeah, so the broader context here is that, so yes, there was, John did a significant Banks retail study that include, you know, retail opportunity for the city to plan for and capitalize upon and kind of proactively pursue and the market for that. You know, in visiting with him and what he's in some of the work that he's been doing, I worked with him on kind of more immediately shifting the scope, kind of a scope of work to involve retail opportunity, but with the city going through some steps to, in the spring, if not early summer at the absolutely latest, do an urban renewal plan update. And you know, the thought was John can help us inform with the economics of retail and development opportunity in North Plains and different business types that might be good opportunity. I talked to John about scoping out, a study to kind of help the city, the URA more specifically, figure out where the opportunity types of commerce, what the opportunities are for commerce, to grow and how to focus on that so that the URA can be better informed going into its plan update for new projects and efforts and that sort of thing. So we are about to come to commission, Elaine Howard, a URA planning consultant, to help us with some technical plan changes that then enable us to do a plan update and more projects and planning for more projects that would be very well informed by work from somebody like John and his company. So that's my tee up, John.
Yeah, well, yeah, thank you, City Manager Reed. Yep. I think, a couple things have, been visiting and looking at North Plains and, you know, I think there's a couple things in our scope of work that we talk about that I think would be really beneficial. So before you kind of go into what Bill talked about is on your urban renewals, the kind of what we do with our software platform is we'll go back about the last 3 years and really look at a parcel level, what's been happening with the growth around your property revenue. And then we'll also pull your employment information. So we'll look at what's been happening there, right? So really, what is the narrative has been happening in the last 3 years? And then to really think about as you move forward, what kind of new policies and decisions that could be made to help bring investment and business in there. So step one is doing that kind of back 3 years, take a look at what's happened with your revenue increasing in the urban renewal area and what's happening with your employment base and to look at that. And then from there, do our study on the retail ability to see what your potential future capture is and what are some of those areas. That'll help tell the third step of thinking of the policies and some program financing that to be able to drive those dollars into specific areas that you're thinking of trying to retract, business or moving parcels along. So that's kind of it. I could think of overall it's like 3 steps as you go through that process. We find a lot of cities, it's a beneficial way to kind of look at where their dollars been going and what's available and how to maybe restructure your program and financing for businesses in the future from that standpoint there. And I'll just give an example, like we just went into Sandy and, through that process, we were able to really understand that there needed to be some larger investment far as being able to help the step farm, one, far as conceptual drawings and having owners have a match program in there, and then 2, to tenant improvements, and then to 3, we helped them create a revolving loan program. So those are steps to really help recruit businesses and help businesses to be able to advance and move forward from that. So each city's different, but that's just an example to share with you too. So happy to answer any questions too.
Great, thanks, John. Yeah, I think we mentioned previously we're in somewhat of a unique situation just in terms of we are interested in attracting new businesses as well as how we can develop the existing business base. So somewhat of a two-pronged approach, especially depending on the next few years with the UGB and kind of what ends up happening from an expansion standpoint. We would probably be modifying or at the very least looking at how we change our strategy with bringing in new businesses and developing existing businesses. So I think we'd be very interested in helping with both of those and taking a look at those, not necessarily in isolation, but how they interact with each other.
Yeah, they do, Chair. They very well go hand in hand. So just understanding what's on the main street and the 2 corridors there's only going to be so much capacity, but understanding that and then understanding, you have some tech starting in this town, which is really, a great opportunity, and especially with the e-commerce zone. So thinking about how that grows in the future too could be beneficial, kind of run parallel paths on that.
Excellent. Any other questions here for John? I think it's also just good for us to, stay in the know as a commission on what the city's working on, what some of the goals are, so that we can help better assist if time comes, when Bill needs some assistance. Okay, so John, we'll definitely kind of use you as a lifeline here as we think of questions, and would be happy to talk with you some more too, as you and Bill work together on some of the upcoming projects.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. John, at some point, probably in January, will have him scheduled to come and just kind of talk about some of these things with the URA board, city council, in the URA meeting. And kind of dig into some of that. And, I think there's some things I'm hoping for him to talk a bit about, is, kind of, for instance, why an anchor like a grocery store is a game changer when you have something drawing trips. Whereas right now, businesses like Cuppio are doing everything they can to succeed, but it's kind of every business for themselves being a destination and having to market themselves as individual destinations. Whereas we don't really kind of have an anchor. We don't have an anchor type business on Glencoe. And until that happens, Cuppio and others can't really kind of benefit from being, impulse related shopping trips. It's just sort of every man and woman for themselves trying to get people to their business. So that has a great effect, and that's one of the things I'm going to ask him to kind of talk a bit about, why it's a big deal to get an anchor type business on Glencoe. So, but anyway, John, any questions for us? We really appreciate you being here.
No, I appreciate. I wish I could be there in person. Apologize. I'd love to be there. I'd love to meet everyone in person, but it's excited when I see a town of this size that has a economic development commission and engaged in this. That is awesome. It's just it's really exciting, and it's a great opportunity to really create that vision of what you want for banks, and then think about how you promote those businesses, and then attract those future businesses. And there's a lot of great opportunities to do that. So excited to be here talking and helping you, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions too. So.
Excellent. Will do. Thank you, John.
All right. You guys have a good evening.
You too.
Thank you, John.
One follow-up to that, what John said, and something that came out of last night at the forum as well, the open house, whatever it was. Does the city already have an idea, a list of the kind of businesses they want to attract? Is that still in the works?
I never answered that question. So we don't have, the closest thing we have to that is in the economic opportunities analysis, which is what the work that ultimately has in it all of the employment land need that's been identified. That document goes into some detail about different industries that are candidate for being in the city, particularly regarding industrial sites. It does go into things like, there's different types of retail and commerce generally that can grow in North Plains. There's information about different types of, office uses and things. The closest we get to kind of, in that document, the closest we get to a desired or targeted, if you will, group of businesses is there's a targeted industry analysis in the report, but it's mostly for industrial type businesses, and it's really based on a study and review of the business composition over in Hillsborough, north of Highway 26, between Helvetia Brookwood to the west and Cornelius Pass to the east. So if you're familiar with that area, when you drive through, it's just a mix of all these different manufacturing and business park, and nothing's gigantic over there. I mean, there's now a big UPS building, but by and large, when we studied it, I don't believe that. I think the UPS building was distribution center was, under construction. So we didn't really look at it. And we didn't include that type of thing really, the document doesn't have that in there. But most of what we have in the EOA is sort of, kind of a candidate businesses based on just being the next freeway up and that next freeway stop up. And here are some more moderately sized businesses and a mix of businesses that would make more sense for North Plains instead of thinking it's gonna get a big semiconductor fab or something.
Yeah, and that's
So
because the EOA was 2019
2022, 23,
is when it was
2022,
updated.
most of 20, yeah.
Was the, and the targeted businesses were updated too in that?
Mhm.
Okay.
I mean, there is some semiconductor supply chain stuff in there,
Right.
but not like any big,
So is that list of desired businesses being revisited as part of this new GP effort over the next 6 months?
If we want to spend about $50,000 updating the report.
Okay, so not necessarily.
I mean,
I'm just curious where, because it came up last time.
yeah, I mean, the thing is it's important to be careful to answer that question because the city doesn't have this list of who we want and who we don't. Like, we don't want to make it appear that's what's going on. That's why I'm careful to say how we actually have in our report are candidate types of industries that seem to make sense for North Plains, more food manufacturing, some warehousing and distribution, some semiconductor supply chain. We've already got that. The building which the acronym that cannot speak its name is in. You know, that 10-acre property, you know, so I mean, and that's kind of a nice proof of concept. I mean, that was kind of the first thing that's been built out, you know, since the EOA was done. That's exactly what the EOA had mentioned was a candidate type of use, that building and what's in it. So, but there's a ton of other things. I mean, like I said, you know, one of actually the first testimony we got in support of the UGB expansion at one of the hearings last time was the owner of the Portland Fruit Company, who's looking at moving his business. He'd love to be in North Plains. That's just fruit wholesale. I mean, welcome. You know, those are great jobs and a great business. So he's dying to get out of close in Southeast Portland. So anyway, we don't have a list of businesses that we want them, we don't want them. However, as we've said at other neighborhood meetings, that there are certain types of businesses that have become more and more controversial. And it's okay, and the city has the full power to say, we don't want that here. That's, you know, and that's perfectly fine, but we don't have kind of a list of what is coming as coming so far.
Sorry, go ahead.
So just a follow-up, so currently doesn't mean we don't, from like a city manager's point of view, don't we have like a top two type of anchor businesses we would like to have in North Plains? Like the grocery, I remember during the UGB.
Well, in the UGB conversation, not so much. I think just more in city council and URA meetings over time. It's been identified that the screaming need is a grocery store because we don't really have a full service grocery store. Where do you go shopping in North Plains if you're getting your ingredients to make Thanksgiving dinner? You are forced to go elsewhere. If you kind of need a little bit of this and that, you can go to Kim's or whatever, and that's not a bad thing. But like if you're cooking, you know, if you're needing a lot of ingredients, fresh produce, those sorts of things. And then it's, you know, it's also to get people shopping more, like kind of it's the whole anchor business idea. Now the grocery store is not the only kind of anchor business, but given that that's an essential thing, that's been where the priority has been discussed. But there's no like updated, there's no adopted document anywhere that says grocery store, a sporting goods store, Ace Hardware, you know, there's nothing quite like that.
And I'm not sure if it is the job of the council or the city, you know, but it would be good if, like, from the city's perspective, since the grocery store is very right, to the city. We can have it as a purple, on the agenda of, the city or the council.
It's
And do whatever we can to, bring some grocery outlets.
Yes, there's no economic policy that the grocery store, by the city, that a grocery store is the top priority. But de facto, as a key business of interest on the Glencoe Opportunity Area, it's a priority for the Urban Renewal Agency. So it's not like an economic policy of the city, but it is a targeted amenity that the Urban Renewal Agency has said, we really need this, and we'll work with the business or developer to make sure that happens.
If I can just add, so, to add to what Bill said, also, staff and planning commission are working on updates to the code and zoning, which will help inform, so I'll speak on behalf of myself, hopefully council will agree with me. If EDC has ideas on you're like, hey, we should have this type of business, we're very open to that. Cause we have some ideas, but we're also trying to bring more smart people, and you're kind of the smart people on economic development. So like, if you're saying, hey, we should have these types of business, great, tell us, because we'd love that perspective. But yeah, the grocery store, it just seems to be the one that anybody to talk to complains about. And I mean, to be fair, people complain enough. Don't worry. Good. But yeah, the zoning will help inform a lot of that, so if you have a lot of free time or interested in planning, Stuart King and the planning commission is working up with Rowan and Bill on figuring that out so that we can leverage the zoning in the code to inform the types of businesses we want, so that they'll need input from you all as well. I guess.
So make it more accessible to the targeted business.
Exactly. Incentivize them.
Right, okay, thank you.
I think the other thing I'd point out is Cindy brought us the banks market.
Yeah.
Study, which does go through like 5 miles from here, would be
Right.
in very similar sized community.
Yeah. There's definitely some nuggets in there that we can pull from. Great, any follow-up questions or comments here? Otherwise, we'll keep moving forward. All right, so new business, we have applications for strike that. We have application for our EDC position. In the agenda packet, you'll see Jacqueline Hunt's application has been submitted to re-up her term for the beginning of 2026. Just as a reminder, and correct me if I'm wrong, Bill and Lori, but we as an EDC will review applicants and we will make a recommendation to council, who will then formally decide and approve or not approve of that applicant. We are not formally approving the applicant in this session. We are only recommending an applicant to city council to go forward. So just a reminder, as we take a look at Jacqueline's application, as well as going into next year, trying to get more applicants in to backfill former Vice Chair Chris Barron's role.
Do I need to go sit at the table?
Yes, please have a, no.
They made Kai do that. for the
Yeah.
planning
So,
commission.
yeah.
So, yeah, they kind of want to do an informal interview. Sure your microphone's on.
It's always an open meeting, you don't get to leave.
Thank you for being here this evening, Ms. Hunt.
Good evening, Commissioner members.
Button up at the top.
Oh, you know what, the battery on that wasn't working.
Oh.
Try it, we might have to switch you up. but it is 11.
It's a,
You kind of.
Perfect, that's great for you. Perfect.
All right, so just looking through the application. Obviously, you've been a member of the EDC for quite some time now. 7 years? 8 years?
A founding member, I believe.
Yeah, since the inception of the.
Who knows when that was? A founding member.
That's right, Bill was a consultant at that time,
Wow.
and he pulled her name out of a hat. Yes, that, oh, I forgot about that. I believe it was 2002.
Yes, it's 2018.
Yeah.
Excellent. So clearly you have EDC experience. What are some things, this will kind of be my only question, then I'll open it up to the group here. What are some things that you'd like to focus on going into a potential, another term? We talked about the passport initiatives. Are there other topics that you'd like to focus on as we get 2026 underway?
yeah, the other document I submitted, this morning was website ideas, which some concrete proposals, and then what in doing that research, I found some other resources that were less about the website and more about developing us as members. So I feel like we went from when we started to complete storming, where we wandered around for 6 months, not sure like who we were, what we were supposed to be doing, to, you know, storming, norming, I feel like we're almost at the performing, and I know I was inspired that if I could be exposed to more of what other economic development of Oregon or even international, I saw some really interesting resources and training programs that I got kind of excited about, and I thought,
You probably died.
and I thought others of us might as well, that would get us up to the next stage of actually making us believe we're moving the dial, moving the needle.
Equal.
Any other questions or follow-up items on the applicants? The middle?
Chair, if I might,
Yes, Mr. Reed.
I have a question for you. You know, I've worked with you for a while. But you know what, I've never gotten in your words at a meeting like this, just your professional background, honestly. I know Central City Concern is in there, and I know some data, some medical data stuff is in there. But would you mind just kind of stating and kind of talking a bit about that? 'Cause I've never heard that from you.
I am a clinically trained pharmacist. And as a perspective of business, actually started their pharmacy program back in 97 that put consultant pharmacists in medical groups. So although it was in Providence, I did start a business within Providence, like a new line of business of consulting, which is flourishing now still. So started out as a research and clinically trained pharmacist seeing patients. And then by the time I left there, I was overseeing what we might consider today an ACO structure. So how do you take care of large populations of patients across the state and then the Providence footprint? I left there to do a fellowship. The fellowship was at the Institute of Healthcare Improvement in Boston. I spent a year there, and that organization is an international leader in improving healthcare worldwide. So got to step out of my professional career and think not about how you deliver healthcare, but how you improve health and what are cutting edge approaches to improving health. And that pivoted my perspective from how to be a good pharmacist to how to take care of patients to how to drive health. And as we think about health, very little of health is actually attributed to healthcare. It is related to social determinants of health, education, and other drivers. And so that caused a career pivot for me. From there, I went on to move to the Midwest, where I became a CIO and Chief Quality Officer for a health system, the healthcare provider of the Green Bay Packers. So there I learned, I did my celebration ceremonies at Lambeau Field. That's a true story. And so there I learned technology pretty much as a new CIO for 5 years and led an Epic implementation and thought about that, as well as leading quality initiatives. I returned home to do a year of consulting, but then joined a tech company for technology that I previously patented, and we spun out of Providence. So I spent 5 years doing consulting across the country, helping organizations improve population health. So both community health centers, insurance companies, health systems, thinking about how do they measurably move population health. I was traveling too much, my teenagers. So I decided to try to work more locally. Didn't want to go back. You probably thought this is a short story. Wanted to work locally, did not want to go back into a hospital system, and so thought who is doing the most mind-bending, incredible nonprofit work in Portland, and Central City Concern is by far that leader. So I don't think I really understood Central City Concern when I took the position to be the Chief Operating Officer. So that's an organization, if you don't know it, 2,000 employees, where we provided and provide healthcare to the homeless, housing for justice involved, sobering, housing first, all sorts of housing programs, and economic job programs in a blended intervention. So you're taking care of health, jobs, and housing for people who are trying to move out of the lowest, typically points of their life, and you're giving them pathways to self-sufficiency. And I left there 3 years ago to took a year off. Started a business with my son called Front Porch Farmers, which brought local farming products to front porches in a small business program for him. We did that for a couple of years, and then for the last 3 years, I've been at Cambia Health Solutions, where I'm chief of staff and director of transformation, quality, and learning, which just means I do a lot of things now for the first time inside of a health plan.
You need more to do.
And what do you think?
Yeah. And for a part of my time, I do think about what land is available. So I wear a hat after my father died about our own family farm and its role in the community, and how to steward that land into the best possible way to create positivity for the community. So you can tell that's a side passion area, definitely.
Thank you.
Your background and experience is broad. Any reason why you want to serve on the EDC? I know you said previously, but any reason why you're still motivated to serve?
Yeah, I do. In thinking about population health, which through all of that kind of weird, moving from all kind of in healthcare, but in every different aspect of healthcare, the common thread there is population health and where we live and the community we live in, and the vitality of that community is really important to population health. And when I think of all of the councils on city council, there is Park and Rec, which I think has a big part, but I am interested in the economic flywheel that would keep not just growing businesses to have businesses, but what is a positive business blend and a way to support our businesses that would mutually support our community. So I've enjoyed particularly this commission and the people on this commission.
Thank you.
But that is my take. I look at it through the lens of population health, whole person health,
Better.
betterment. Yeah.
So. Any further questions? All right,
And I do have a degree in research and statistics, which I also really love to bring into this committee.
The survey results.
You reminded me of that.
yeah, back to Lambeau Field.
You see Brett Farm.
Yeah, was he there? Is he looking?
I was the Aaron Rodgers days.
All right, so, I think we'll, a similar motion to approve, is necessary. We don't put it to a full vote.
No, it's more of a consensus recommendation, but you can certainly treat it as a you can.
I will not entertain a motion. I will not entertain a motion. All those in favor of recommending Jacqueline to city council as filling the vacancy on the EDC, say aye.
Chairman.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, I remember that, when I applied, before the recommendation decision was made, the candidate was asked.
To leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't do that anymore.
Oh,
No, you have to be transparent.
okay.
Okay,
Okay.
so that she knows.
Yeah, she's gonna, you guys have to look her right in the eye when you.
So you heard.
All right, all those in favor of approving Jacqueline as a recommendation to city council to fill the vacancy of the EDC, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay.
I did see Amy raise her hand,
We have a virtual.
so that would be.
All right, we have unanimous approval to recommend Jacqueline to fill the vacancy within the EDC. Thank you for your service, Jacqueline, and we hope city council sees the same thing with your
That will be
potential.
on the agenda for the 15th if you.
Sure.
Do I show up and do
You-
the same thing?
We encourage, especially with new counselors that maybe haven't met you or haven't, aren't familiar, quite as familiar. with
And
you.
Bill's going to ask the same question.
Yeah. Well, they might, but if they don't, I will, just.
I mean, I might just read my notes. Or a quick procedural question, it says on the website the 19th is the deadline. Is that for this one or for Chris's?
That's for Chris's.
Okay, I'm
Um,
just making sure.
just because we needed to have them post, they have to be posted for a minimum
That's fine.
of 2 weeks.
I'm
And,
just clarifying so that we get the procedure right, because I don't want city council to yell at me when I try to.
well, I don't want them yelling at me either,
Yeah,
so
so
I'm
I'm
right
just-
there with you,
I'm
yes.
trying to preempt the yelling
Yeah.
and
very
make sure
good.
I know so that I can cut it off.
And honestly, if you would choose, we can wait and do both at the first meeting in,
No,
okay.
I'm fine doing it on the 15th as long as,
yeah.
I just want to make sure I had the procedure right.
It-
That's all.
At
Yeah.
least one vacancy has been posted for 2 weeks.
Okay, that's what I was trying to get.
That-
Thank you. Sorry.
That's the main,
Trying to make sure I keep.
that's the main thing, so.
Which kind of brings us to the second vacancy. We haven't had any applicants thus far, so, please do your part to spread the word if you do know anyone that you're connected with that might be a good fit. We have obviously one business owner. We are, encouraging to have more business owners on the EDC, but that was one of our goals. And then we were trying to hit certain targets for within city limits, unincorporated, North Plains and things like that. But I think we have all of our demographics that we were trying to hit in terms of location and things like that. So I think it opens it up quite a bit to whoever is able to apply
Yeah, because with this board, you can have 2 members that
or outside.
are non-resident inside residents, but own property or a business
That's right.
within the city limits, so.
And then give it a shout out to Jingle and P Chiropractic as well, just to
Yes.
remind people.
That'd be great. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Jacqueline.
This is just an interesting.
We'll go ahead and wrap up with a final agenda item that was discussing an EDC representative to participate in the UGB Public Advisory Committee, a different path.
Concept plan advisory, public advisory committee.
Yes. Is there anyone who is passionate and would like to represent the EDC? I'll open it up with that. Before I do that, I guess, what's the time commitment from a meeting standpoint, Bill, as of now?
I think between now and June 30th, there will be 4-ish meetings of this body.
Okay.
There'll be a kickoff in I believe a kickoff in January. We kind of have an abbreviated schedule with the way things have worked, but I believe in mid or late January, there'll be a kickoff, and then there will be a progression of things happening, and you'll return. So there'll be like 4 meetings.
If I could ask a question, would I be excluded for consideration as a result of ownership stake in a portion of the land being considered, or is, what would be the city's position on that?
I guess, right, there hasn't been an official position. I'll let the mayor speak to that, but what I will simply say is there hasn't been like a decided policy about it per se, but.
Okay, so here's the problem. Ideally, I would say no, but part of what I've been thinking and kind of brainstorming with Bill a little bit is we would probably, this is voting or non-voting, sorry, actually clarify.
Well, that's actually, I mean, that's a great, no, that's a great question, observation. So one thing that the mayor and I have discussed is, so this seat right here is meant to be the representative of this body. Like the interest you're expressing is the viewpoints of this body, given that this body is the educated, active one on economic and business development. And so what's under consideration, I think, here, and there's crossover potentially if you were to be selected as the EDC representative, is the question of the previous advisory committee to the UGB and the relook committee had members who represented property outside the city under consideration for UGB expansion. And I think that's more along the lines of, are they included? And if they are included, are they ex officio? They get to speak and express things, but maybe they don't get to vote on what the city policy is, sort of thing. So, but that's an open question.
That's what we were thinking at the moment. And again, this is not ratified by council. This is just Bill and I trying to like come up with how do we get this done and get it over the line and have come out with a plan that doesn't end up in.
And to that point, I think with all due respect, Jacqueline, it would be best if you were not involved to reduce any noise that would.
But we'll expect your input because.
Of course, yeah.
I have a lot of ideas.
Yeah, and like Bill mentioned, this representative, and I've represented, I think, the past couple PACs. I try my best to view it through the lens of the EDC. It is not your own personal view on it. You are representing this body. And so being able to do that and articulate kind of reason through that lens is important. And so I have, no doubt you'd be able to do that, Jacqueline. I just know it probably would cause more issue than we would like it to, so.
One thing, Chair, if I might, so far the bodies that have selected representatives have actually picked a primary and an alternate. So that there's actually 2 who can, or maybe in alternating go, and then you kind of have more eyes, more ears. So I guess I would just point that out. That's a little bit different this time.
Okay.
And that's an option for you.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I have a quick question on this. The new UGB committee, are they going to continue the work that was done previously, or is this a reset?
So
yeah, because I know a lot of work went into the previous one. I was a member as well, though not, on behalf of the EDC, right? And then
So,
all of a sudden, I think there was no communication as to the status, right, of all the deliberations.
so
Then it popped up.
that's a very good question. So this process is going to basically do two things between now and June 30th. There's a lot of work to be done. The first thing is this process is going to determine and land on some final UGB alternatives that take into account what the relook committee, expressed in terms of viewpoint after going through the process. But what the relook committee did, the map that most of you agreed on, that map is not the UGB expansion map that is determined to be the one. This process that this advisory committee will oversee, there have been neighborhood meetings, there will be more meetings to get more input from the public about what the map should look like. But it is factoring in what the relook committee did. So the first thing will be, what are the best choices for what the new map will be factoring in the relook? And then concept planning, where do things go? Like the actual beginning of kind of, what does it look like in 20 years' time within that line? So it's both of those things.
Okay, that's
Good question. Thanks,
I would, like, to that end, I would volunteer myself as being at least one of the representatives to have that historical background from the previous pacts. But if there's two other members that are more than interested, I can step back. Number of meetings. Is anyone passionate or wanting to jump on it? All right.
I feel passionate about it, but I do have some other
Yes.
commitments in the city, so.
Yes, we're all,
Like to volunteer.
thank you, Lisa. Yeah, I know there's a lot going on. A lot of stuff, a lot of priorities people are managing, so. Okay. I guess I volunteered myself to be the EDC representative of the UGB PAC. If we don't mind, getting me on any type of distribution list for communication that goes down, I'll be the rep.
Rowan will be in touch, and there was not an alternate.
No alternate.
I threw you a light.
I know you did. I know. No alternate? He said to the void.
So, if I might, you have another seat to fill, or perhaps that person. So,
That would be a great introduction to the new role. Yes. Good point. Thank you, Bill. Okay, any formal decision that needs, or nomination or anything regarding that agenda item?
I can.
no, but I think, Chair, I think the appropriate thing would just be to assure consensus, that's.
Yeah, let's go ahead
the will of
and
the body.
get this thing on paper, huh? Okay,
I'd like in recording.
yes. While the owl is looking at me. All those in favor of Eric Lawson representing the EDC on the UGB Design Planning Public Advisory Committee, say aye.
Aye.
And all those opposed, say nay.
That's unanimous.
I think it was a vote nay, by the candidate.
It was from, it must be
The-
the horse outside.
cheap seat.
Anyway, yeah. Okay, any other questions or topics then before we adjourn? I think that covers the bulk of it.
Yes.
Oh,
You thought you were gonna escape this.
Yeah,
I just want to give some updates and, Chair, and, basically just some preview of some issues that you all are gonna need to or may want to
be engaged
be
with?
engaged in. So, one item, but two facets of it. It sounds like we might have enough people business owners and property owners interested to form a downtown association. The city has not scheduled a meeting quite yet with this group of people, but we are gathering information about the Oregon Main Street Association program and what it would be required of a downtown association from a meeting standpoint, governance standpoint, so that we can talk with those folks so that they fully understand what probably isn't a big obligation, but what that means. To make sure that if we go ahead with helping get the downtown association established and they start operating, then with city partnership, then that could happen. The other thing is, and I apologize, I didn't write her name down, Mayor, the owner of the new fitness company.
Amanda.
She is another active voice, it sounds like, in terms of interest in a Glenville Corridor Business Association. Now, what it does and how it establishes would be a little bit different from what the Downtown Association would be, because that would be an affiliate of the Oregon Main Street Association, and that's a state and federal thing. But the Glencoe Business Corridor Association, we still would need work with you or you all, however, exploring what kind of affiliations or support that would get. And the key thing to remember, and this can be debriefed to the Chamber of Commerce, but these entities are really meant to advocate for their geographic, they want to be a successful business, be welcoming, but there's kind of some mutual priorities and that might be a little bit different than other aspects of what a chamber might be doing for all businesses at the same time. So that'll need to be explored. So just letting you know, we may be on the verge of one or both of those happening. So we'll update you about that. Did you?
No.
Oh, sorry. The second thing would just be an update about the Glencoe Opportunity Area. The shutdown is over, the federal shutdown is over, and it looks like we have been given authorization to issue an RFP to get a consultant to project manage the cleanup process, which means it's a complicated thing to say you got a grant from the EPA. It starts out as you're selected, and then you have just this slew of Form 1043AB-1285, and there's in triplicate. Okay, but there's a process. So we're almost there. They've authorized us to spend money in a particular way, so we're in good shape. The exciting thing, though, is that the EPA grant does not let us remove the building from the property. It's purely contaminated soil removal. So, we now actually have two choices on how we can get help to pay for demolition of buildings. One of them is Business Oregon's Brownfield Fund. But after a meeting with the Columbia Pacific Economic Development District yesterday, sounds like they have a sizable amount of money that they could give us. They're working to confirm it because they're working with Astoria on something too. But it sounds like there may be a sizable amount of money that could be a combo, no interest loan and forgivable grant.
Oh,
Not just purely a loan. So stay tuned. That's exciting. We talked about the Buy Local Club idea and the seasonal rewards app. The other thing I would just point out is City Council hasn't decided to ask for help on this yet. But the URA board, I should say, is very, very interested in exploring new types of grant programs instead of just the food service tenant improvement grant. Now, one update to that is Monday night, the URA, after Roman and I worked with Sisters and stuff, is they're going to get a special one-time $50,000 grant for all the money they spent cleaning up what amounts to the gateway to downtown. So they, so we'll be awarding them a grant to reimburse for some of that expense. That's good news.
Did they mention the specific rock walkway along the side
And
of
some
the?
interior paint.
That was, that was, not, they did mention the sweat equity, okay?
Okay,
So those are
okay.
receipts they gave us, okay?
That was an EDC volunteer project.
It was, yeah, that's right, and frankly, I didn't mention that during the whole, but no, it's worth mentioning, the EDC on the May cleanup day. Yes, there's been partnership with the city, with the EDC, there, and that's not frankly gotten enough, mention, to your credit. So, but the other thing is, I think I will advocate for the URA board, city council, URA board, to enlist your help in this, because I know that you all did a bunch of research on it when when the urban renewal plan, it's updated. You all looked at a bunch of different new ones and kind of have a bunch of ideas already, so that's there. But we have another business, we are looking, the first new improvement or grant program we're looking at, and we'll bring this to you to talk about it, maybe the next meeting, depending on how far Rowan gets. Specifically at a grant program that works like the food service tenant improvement grant program, but is aimed at helping businesses that are in or own older historic type buildings want to successfully operate their business, grow their business, but there are just very expensive, unique problems with owning brick buildings that have masonry that have been around for a while or what have you. So rather than getting into the habit of having individual businesses come to the URA board and say, we'd like a grant, because we want to establish programs that cover different things. So that'll be a future. Certainly the URA board is going to be interested in that and talking about that. But that's what's happening. So just making you aware. And I think that's mostly it from them. Any questions about it?
So I know it's depending on how quickly it all gets put together and conceptualized, operationalized. So Rowan will potentially be able to attend one of our meetings early next year, do you think?
Yes,
Okay,
yes. This is just a matter of pulling some things together.
Yeah.
Concepts.
Yeah. Great, that's all good stuff. Thank you, Bill. Is the downtown and the Glencoe corridor business associations, will they be, if they both end up going, will they be separate entities?
They'll have to be. The Oregon Main Street Association has pretty clear requirements for what the downtown area and the businesses and entities in it are.
Okay.
So that's a double-edged sword. But yeah, it's gonna happen.
Okay.
Can I, Mayor, do you mind if I mention something that might sound a little controversial, but I just want to,
Wish you would.
I want to put it out there. I'm gonna put it out there.
Please do.
Oh, so another couple things. Sorry, I'm sorry. I mean,
It's still show now.
no, I'm sorry. It's just we've had a lot of really good progress on some things, and when we have.
It's all great stuff.
To open things up.
Just being facetious.
He got a lot of rest over the 4-day.
Yeah, apparently.
He did Monday morning, he made a point of saying. Great,
I did. I really did.
he did.
One thing I want to put out there, and this is also something that council should think about, is we have a standing invitation to discuss an appropriate way, if it's of interest, for the city of North Plains to become a member of the Washington County Chamber of Commerce. There are chambers of commerce for individual cities that coordinate with the Washington County Chamber, and it's a functional thing. We're by ourselves with the North Plains Chamber of Commerce, and they are our chamber and they do things. But there's opportunity, if of interest, for a more elaborate coordination and relationship. So I just want to put it out there, Deanna Palm, is retiring, but when I had lunch with her, you were there too.
Yeah.
And we talked about this, and I talked to her about it since. There's a way for the Washington County Chamber to market North Plains as a member and North Plains Chamber as a partner. And as a place for Hillsborough businesses to expand to, because there's so many relationships, right? Among other things, but it could be a delicate matter for a variety of reasons, so I'm just putting that out. And then the second thing is, if you have topics where an expert speaker or somebody would be of interest to hear from. We had John tonight, he's gonna end up probably doing some work for the URA, but you know, there are other topics and things where we can have guest speakers, so always keep that in mind. I'm always happy to rope people in that own favors, so.
Yeah, I think I'll make a note. We've talked about guest speakers for a while, especially January, February. We are more intentional about setting like a schedule for the year on when we would like to bring through either guest speakers or just topics on those guests or speakers on those topics, I guess I should say. So I'll make a note that for January, we'll regroup, try to brainstorm a list of topics as well as guest speakers that we can bring through this next year. Anything else, Bill, or thank you. Thanks for the updates. This is all really good stuff. Thank you to you and Lori on your tireless work. Not for the city, but just the community in general, making sure the wheels are still turning.
Only one car wobbles, but there's no sense coming.
Got a spare on there that has the max speed of 55, but we get her down the road, okay. Any other topics or questions from the EDC this evening?
Can I just say there's a post from Melly's on social media that said they're getting their health inspection tomorrow. And if they pass, they hope to open next week. We will no longer be a bar, but a family restaurant. We have added several new food items for adults and kids and 2 arcade games for people to enjoy.
All right,
That's simple. Hopefully reopening next week.
thank you. Now Mayor Deborah, did you have any words of wisdom for us?
Zero. No, I did want to mention, I did meet with Deanna as well, and then Bill brought that to my attention, so it'd be good. If you don't want to go down the path of Washington County Chamber, please let me know, because I need to go meet the new CEO, probably in January. Just to establish a relationship and kind of broker that conversation, and that way we can start on the path, if that's the direction that council approves, what you think they will. The other thing is anticipate probably in January, you'll get a directive from council to what Bill was talking about with the URA stuff, grant programs. We're trying to get through this renewal, but I think it's time to probably look at those, and I'll work with Bill on like timing, but I think it's probably gonna be January. I guess we'll put it in front of the council and then just send it to y'all. And then just something I wanted to bring back from my first EDC meeting. It took me a little while to get it done, but with a little bit of help from Rowan and Amanda, I think I have Dave convinced to submit another sign permit for the building thing. It's not as big as he wants, but I think I've talked him into it, because I just want something to drive more businesses in that. So, and I have been harassing everybody to get more businesses in there, just because it'd be good for our city, so.
Right.
Oh, and then also, Washington County did a ribbon cutting for Boat 3. So that was really cool to see. And yeah, I mean, they did a great job of bringing people in the city. So I just thought it was cool. I just wanted to share it, because I was amazed at how many people from all over Washington County just like randomly showed up in North Plains. It's great. And it just always makes me happy. So
yeah,
I just like to share positive stuff.
How did that come about, by the way? With
Johanna.
the county,
John Farr.
Yeah.
She works at the chamber.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we can maybe chat with her if there's more events.
You should absolutely check with her.
Yeah,
She's great.
okay, awesome. All right. Anything else? Good.
No, just come to the jingle parade
Oh, yeah.
at 6 o'clock.
Come to the jingle parade.
And come to Keep Chiropractic, right?
Mm. They're having
Say
their own.
6 AM.
Okay, 7:47, we're gonna,
Oh,
Aaron and I have,
all right.
Mayor and I have
Uh,
discussed that,
We'll go ahead and adjourn.
I don't want to hit it for
7:47.
the.
Have a good night, everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.